week. The week kind of feels like it's flown by last week too, but the days themselves feel like they just drag on and on. Last weekend, I was sick. I assume because there's this kid who sits across from me in physics lab who just hacks up a lung all the time and like hardly ever covers his mouth, if at all. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I've had this for like 2 weeks." And I was like, "That's a problem. You should go to the doctor and get that checked out." Today I had 2 tests back to back, both my math classes. Linear algebra felt a lot better than Calc 3, but I got less of linear algebra done just because for the first time it's not a matter of knowing the material. I know that I know it. I'm very confident about it, but there was just so much to do and I'm not fast at it. So I think that's probably what I'm going to have to focus on next week is doing those things, but doing them faster. Which is lame that is always an issue for me, and a lot of other people seem to have that problem too with this teacher's test. I don't know why they feel compelled to put so many problems on there. Maybe to make each problem like way less in terms of the overall grade, but if you know the material, that shouldn't matter, Make it 5 questions, give me at least 10 minutes apiece, especially if you're gonna make me do all this stuff that takes steps on steps on steps, but whatever, I'm complaining. Doesn't matter now. I can't tell you how badly I've needed this Friday night. Tomorrow I have to go to class Saturday because it's a makeup for the snow or whatever we had like a month ago, 3 weeks ago. They canceled class, and so they gave teachers the option of, having a makeup day on the weekend, and my physics teacher was lame enough to be like, "Yeah, everyone come in 10 a.m. on a Saturday." I think most people are probably going to skip, which I don't blame them, but I skipped today, so I can't skip tomorrow. Logic has surprisingly been kind of difficult, especially when you deal with like truth tables and stuff like that, and keeping all of that straight, and just knowing what you're looking at, really. And physics is the nightmare I expected it to be, but luckily the group me we have going is really good and productive, and there's a lot of people who know what they're doing, and so they can be a lot of help. And I started like an ongoing study session in physics that, usually like a dozen people, more like 8 to 10 people usually show up to. And that's where I get help and other people get help if they need it. So that's cool. Tonight, I'm meeting Anna at the UF Auburn gymnastics meet, I guess. Apparently it's a big thing because Auburn's good and Florida's also good, and Anna's like suddenly about gymnastics. I don't know, but the concession stand has really good hot pretzels, so that's all I need. So I found out that I have to go to orientation. It's mandatory for USF, but they do have what they call express transfer or express orientation. So if you're a veteran, if you're older than 26, and there was some other thing too, you get like a really abbreviated orientation rather than an all-day thing, which thank God, because I don't want to spend all day around a bunch of 18-year-olds for a third time. But the downside is I have to take a day off of class to do that. So it's on a Friday, which means I have to leave town a Thursday night. At the earliest I could leave was 3:30, 4 o'clock, depending on whether or not I get a rental, which is a whole other thing. Drive 7.5, 8 hours to South Florida to my sister's house. Thank God I know someone down there. And then wake up probably 5 a.m. to drive 30 minutes in South Florida traffic. So it's going to take double that. Just to do orientation for probably 3 or 4 hours, and then drive all the way back. At least I'll have the weekend to drive back slower, but that's basically 1,000 miles in 2 days. Which I'm a little bit hesitant about putting on my car just because my car is kind of getting up there in mileage, and it's having some kind of minor issues, but I think it's alright. I'm not super intent on dumping a large amount of money in it just because it's old and it's probably not worth that much to begin with. Oh, it's Fitzgerald the cat. Say hi. Say hi to them. Got all that, and then just, I don't know, it's gonna be a long semester. Another thing I've noticed is that we are quickly approaching 100 videos and 10,000 lifetime views, which obviously is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but for our channel it's something. I mean, I'm not trying to become a YouTube star and get rich and famous, but it seems that some of our videos get a good bit of traction, so I'm always thankful for that. That's cool. But yeah, we'll have to celebrate 10,000 views, or when we hit 100 videos, and do a giveaway. I'll mail the first commenter $1. I will though. I'll mail you $1. Think I won't? Try me. Comment on the 100th video. And one last thing, we're going to New Orleans. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but we definitely are now. I say definitely because we bought our Airbnb. In the past, we've made plans. Like last year, we were talking about going to New York. For our anniversary, we were talking about going to Gatlinburg, but frankly, we're just not very good at making time for ourselves, and we always put, work first, which was probably the more reasonable, logical thing to do at this point in our lives. But Anna was like, "Well, we haven't gone anywhere together, like just us, since our honeymoon 4 years ago." And I was like, "You're right. So we should probably treat ourselves."
3 words for you. Treat yourself.
So we're doing that. So we're in the process of coming up with things to do. We're going to do that in the first couple days of spring break so that we can come back and get back into the swing of school and studying and stuff. Because I really, really hate like coming off of a vacation and starting school like the next day or even 2 days later. I hate that. I like to have transition time. I think Anna does too. It just feels better, to get back sped up. You know what I mean? I think I'm gonna go get ready to go to this gymnastics meet, but thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.